Hello everyone, here is Afra Siab. Today we are going to solve Cambridge IGCSE Physics Paper 2 Multiple Choice Extended held on October-November 2020 and paper code is 0625 with variant 21. So let's start from question number 1. Question number 1. For which of the following measurements would the micrometer screw gauge be most suitable? So here we use the micrometer screw gauge for which purpose? Option A, length of this page. B, length of the pencil. C, diameter of the wire. D, diameter of an atom. So micrometer screw gauge is basically used for the measurement of the diameter of wire. So from here option C is correct. Question number 2. The speed time graph represents a journey. So here is the speed time graph. Speed is taken along y-axis while the time is taken along x-axis. How does the graph show that the distance travelled in the section x of the journey is greater than the distance travelled in the section y? Option A. The area below section x of the graph is greater than the area below the section y. B. The gradient of the section x of a graph is greater than the gradient of the section y. C. The speed at the end of section x of the journey is greater than the speed at the end of the section y. The time for the section x of the journey is greater than the time for section y. So first of all we see the speed time graph, and here we have to tell that why the area or the distance travelled in the section x is greater than the distance travelled in the section y. This is basically due to the area. So first of all we know that speed is equal to distance divided by time. So from here distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. Now we see the section x and section y. This is section x and here is section y. The area of the section x is larger as compared to the area of section y. And here distance is basically equal to the area under speed time graph. So from here option A is correct, which shows that the area below section x is greater than the area below section y. So A is correct. Question number 3. A car is traveling at a velocity of 2.0 meter per second. It accelerates at a constant 0.20 meter per second square for 2.5 minutes. What is the final velocity of the car? So here we have to find out the final velocity of the car when the initial velocity, time and acceleration is given. So here we use the definition of acceleration, that acceleration is equal to change of velocity of a body. So it will be v minus u over t. From here we have to find out the value of v. So it will be equal to at plus u, where acceleration is 0.20 multiplied by time. Time is given 2.5 minutes and we have to convert this into seconds. So I write here 2.5 multiplied by 60 plus initial velocity which is 2.0 meter per second. So that the value of the final velocity will be equal to 32 meter per second. From here option D is correct. Question number 4. Which quantity is weight an example of? Option A acceleration, B force, C mass, D pressure. This is basically force. Option B is correct. Question number 5. A sphere P made of steel has a weight of 10 Newton on earth. Another sphere Q also made of steel has a weight of 10 Newton on Mars. The gravitational field strength on the Earth is greater than the gravitational field strength on Mars. Which statement is correct? First of all, it is given that we have two spheres P and Q, and weight of both of these spheres on the Earth and Mars is equal, which is 10 Newton. So I write here weight of sphere P is equal to 10 Newton, which is on the surface of Earth, while the weight of the sphere Q is also 10 Newton, which is on the surface of Mars. And it is given that the gravitational field strength on the surface of Earth is greater as compared to gravitational field strength on the Mars. So we know that weight is equal to mass multiplied by g. So mass will be equal to weight over g. Weight is equal on the surface of Earth and Mars. So I write here mass of sphere P is equal to W over value of g on the surface of Earth. Also mass of Q sphere will be equal to W over value of g on the surface of Mars. It is given that the gravitational field strength on the Earth is larger. If here it is larger, then mass will be smaller. And here the value of gravitational field strength on the Mars is smaller, so the mass will be larger. It means that the mass of the sphere P is smaller as compared to mass of the sphere Q. I write here. Now we see the options. Option A, the mass of the sphere P is same as that of the mass of sphere Q. It is incorrect. B, the mass of the sphere P is less than the mass of the sphere Q. So it is correct. Option B is correct. Question number 6. A metal ball is attached to a cork and is lowered into a measuring cylinder, pulling the cork into the water as shown. So first of all, we have a measuring cylinder and initially its volume is 48 cubic centimeter. Now here is a second figure where volume is shown 56 cubic centimeter. When the ball fully submerged but cork above the water. So the volume is 80 cubic centimeter when both ball and cork fully submerged in the water. The mass of the cork is 4.8 gram. What is the density of the cork? So here we have to find out the density. Here we use the definition of density. Density is equal to mass over volume. Mass is given, which is 4.8 gram, and we have to find out the volume of the cork. So first of all, the volume of the water and ball. It is equal to 56 cubic centimeter. Know the volume of ball and cork. It is equal to 80 cubic centimeter. From here we can find out the volume of the cork. So it will be equal to 80 minus 56, which is equal to 24 cubic centimeter. So I use the formula density is equal to mass, which is 4.8 divided by volume 24. So it will be equal to 0.2 gram per cubic centimeter. So from here option B is correct. 0.20 gram per cubic centimeter. Question number 7. A uniform plank rests on a pivot at its center. Two children P and Q sit on the plank in the position shown. So first of all, there are two children P and Q. They are sitting on the plank and there is a pivot point shown here. The distance of the child P from the pivot is 1.2 meter, while the distance of the child Q from the pivot is 1.5 meter. The mass of the child is 25 kilogram. The plank is balanced. What is the mass of the child Q? So here is basically the concept of conservation of moment, that the moment caused by the child P must be equal to the moment which is caused by the child Q. So moment is basically the product of force and distance. So here force is equal to mass multiplied by G multiplied by R. So I use this formula and use the law of conservation of moment, that the moment caused by the child P is equal to the moment caused by the child Q. So I write here mass of child P multiplied by G multiplied by distance of child P. It will be equal to mass of child Q multiplied by G and distance of child Q. Here we have to find out the mass of child Q. So it will be equal to MQ, which is divided by G and RQ. So this G cancels by this, MP multiplied by distance divided by distance of child Q. Now I am going to put values here. Mass of child P is 25 kilogram multiplied by the distance of child P is 1.2 divided by the distance of child Q is 1.5. This is the mass of child Q, which is equal to 20 kilogram. So from here option A is correct. Question number 8. The diagram shows three forces acting on an object. There are three forces 9 Newton, that is acting towards right, 1 Newton is force acting towards the left, and 6 Newton is a force that is acting upward. What is the value of the resultant force acting on the object? Here we have to find out the value of the resultant force. First of all, we find out the net horizontal force and vertical forces. So first of all, I write here net horizontal forces. It will be equal to 9 minus 1, because 9 Newton and 1 Newton forces are in opposite direction. That's why I subtract them. It will be equal to 8 Newton. Next, the net vertical forces. It is given, which is 6 Newton. So resultant force will be equal to square root of 8 square plus 6 square, which is equal to 10 Newton. So this is the resultant force. So from here option B is correct. Question number 9. An object with a mass of 0.20 kilogram moves at 0.20 meter per second as shown. So first of all, here is the object whose mass is 0.2 kilogram and it is moving at a speed of 0.20 meter per second. Which other object has the momentum that is identical to the momentum of this object? So here are four options A, B, C and D. The mass and speed of different objects are given. We have to find out momentum and tell that which one of the following has the momentum that is identical to the given object. So first of all, we check for the object A. P is equal to mv. So mass is 0.20 multiplied by 0.20. It will be equal to 0.04 Newton upwards. it is Newton second, not Newton. So for the object B, momentum is 0.40 multiplied by 0.10. It will be equal to 0.04 Newton second downwards. For the object C, momentum will be 0.40 multiplied by 0.10, which is equal to 0.04 Newton second right. For the object D, momentum is 0.20 multiplied by 0.20, which is equal to 0.04 Newton second and towards left. So here we have find out the momentum for A, B, C and D. Now we find out the momentum of the given object. It will be 0.20 multiplied by 0.20, which is equal to 0.04 Newton second, and it is towards right. So it will be rightward. Now the magnitude for all of these options are same. There is only change in the direction. So the momentum which is rightward, this option is correct, which is given in C. It means that C is correct. Question number 10. A stone is dropped from rest at a height of 2.0 meter above the surface of a planet. The planet has no atmosphere. The speed of the stone just before reaching the surface of the planet is 3.8 meter per second. What is the acceleration of freely fall on the planet? So here we have to find out acceleration. Here again I use equation of motion v square minus u square is equal to 2as. We have to find out the acceleration A. So A will be equal to v square minus u square over 2s. Here s basically represents height. I write here h. So first of all, stone is dropped from rest. It means that initial velocity is equal to 0. So u is equal to 0. I write here v is 3.8 square minus 0 divided by 2, and height is 2.0. Then acceleration will be equal to 3.6 meter per second square. So from here option C is correct. Question number 11. An electric motor uses 100 joule of electrical energy. It provides 450 joule of useful output energy. What is the efficiency of the motor? So here we have to find out the efficiency of motor. Efficiency will be equal to output energy over input energy multiplied by 100. This is basically percentage efficiency. Now I am going to put values here. It will be 450 divided by 1000 multiplied by 100, which is equal to 45%. So here efficiency of the motor is equal to 45%. So option C is correct. Question number 12. To calculate the power produced by a force, the size of the force must be known. What else need to be known to calculate the power? The distance that the force moved the object, the time for which the force acts on the object. So first of all, power is the product of force and velocity. So velocity is basically equal to d over t. So power is basically determined by the three factors: force, distance and time. It means that we also require the distance and also the time. So from here option A is correct, which shows distance and time. Question number 13. A barometer reads 780 mm HD Mercury has a density of 1.36 into 10 to the power 4 kilogram per meter cube. What is the pressure of the atmosphere in Newton per meter square? So here we have to find out the atmospheric pressure. I write here pressure will be equal to rho GH, where rho is density, G is gravitational acceleration and H is height. So I write here 1.36 multiplied by 10 to the power 4. The value of G is 10 meter per second square and height is given 780 millimeter. And we have to convert this height into meter. So it will be equal to 0.78 meter. I multiply here 0.78. So pressure will be equal to 1.1 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per meter square. So from here option B is correct. Question number 14. The diagram shows a mercury barometer. Which height is used as a measurement of atmospheric pressure? So which height is basically used for the measurement of atmospheric pressure? Here 4 points are shown: A, B, C and D. And mercury is filled in this tube. So here height of the column of mercury barometer shows the atmospheric pressure. It means that from this point to this level, this is basically the height of the mercury, which gives the atmospheric pressure. So this height is basically shown in the C. So from here C is correct. Question number 15. A student splashes water on her face. Here are 3 statements about the effect. P. The water uses energy to evaporate. Q. The water gains energy from the student. R. The face of the student cools. Which statements are correct? Option A, P and Q only. B, P and R only. C, Q and R only. D, P, Q and R. So from here, all of these statements are correct because there is only evaporation and the molecules has enough energy to escape from the surface. And also when the student splashes water on her face, then the water gains energy from the student and the face of the student cools. So from here option D is correct. Question number 16. When a bridge is built, a gap is left between each concrete slab. Why are these gaps left? So these gaps left because the concrete expand on warm days. Option A is given. Concrete expands on warm days. B. Concrete contract on warm days. C. The gap expands on warm days. D. The gaps contract on cool days. So from here option A is correct. Question number 17. The specific heat capacity of the solid P is greater than that of the solid Q. What does this statement mean? Option A. Less energy is needed to rise the temperature by 1 degree C of unit mass of solid P than unit mass of solid Q. B. Less energy is needed to melt unit mass of the solid P than unit mass of the solid Q. C. More energy is needed to raise the temperature by 1 degree C of unit mass of solid P than unit mass of solid Q. D. More energy is needed to melt unit mass of the solid P than the unit mass of solid Q. So from here, when the specific heat capacity of the solid P is greater as compared to Q, it means that more energy is needed to raise the temperature by 1 degree C of the unit mass for the solid P as compared to for the solid Q. So from here option C is correct. Question number 18. A student placed a number of ice cubes in a container with a hole in the base. He left them to melt so that water dripped into beaker placed on a balance. The student recorded the initial mass of the beaker and the final mass of the beaker and water after 5 minutes. So first of all, here are ice cubes and there is a hole that is at the bottom and the water is coming from this hole, and there are initial and final readings of the mass. The specific latent heat of fusion for water is 334 joule per gram. How much energy was absorbed from the surroundings in order to melt the ice? So first of all, we have to find out mass. Mass of ice will be equal to 0.16 minus 0.05, which is equal to 0.11 kilogram. And the specific latent heat of fusion for water is equal to 334 joule per gram. So here first of all mass is in kilogram, while there is gram in the specific latent heat of fusion. So we have to make the similar units. So I use formula E is equal to mL, where m is mass and L is the specific latent heat of fusion. So mass is given 0.11 multiplied by 334 and then I multiply with 1000 to make the unit same. So energy will be equal to 36740 joule and it is equal to 37,000 joule. So from here option C is correct. Question number 19. The diagram shows 4 rods. Each rod is made of a different metal. So there are rods P, Q, R and S. All of these rods are made from the different metals. Wax is used to attach small metal balls at the end P, Q, R and S. Each rod is the same size. They are heated uniformly by a Bunsen burner at point X. As the rod warms up, the wax melts and the ball fall down. Why does the ball on the silver rod fall first? Option A. Silver is the best conductor of heat. Silver is the worst conductor of heat. C. Silver is the best radiator of heat. D. Silver is the worst radiator of heat. So from here, silver contains free electrons. It means that these electrons move freely. This is related to its valence and crystal structure. So it is a good conductor of heat. That's why the ball falls first from the silver rod. So from here option A is correct. Question number 20. 4 cups A, B, C and D contains hot coffee. Which cup keeps the coffee warm the longest? The outside surface of the cup, the top of the cup. Option A. Black, covered with a lid. B. Black, no lid. C. White, covered with a lid. D. White and no lid. So first of all we have a cup and it contains hot coffee. And if there is a lid on this top of this cup, then the no heat enters or leaves this cup. So first option is that the top of the cup is covered with the lid. So what's about the outside surface of the cup? Either it is black or white. So basically black color are good emitter. That's why if this is a black surface, then most of the radiations emit out, which is heat radiation, so that the coffee may cooled. That's why the surface should be white, because white colors are bad absorber and emitter. So from here option C is correct. The outside surface of the cup should be white so that no heat escapes from the hot coffee. And also the top of the cup is covered with the lid. So that's why option C is correct. Question number 21. Which row correctly describe light waves? So basically light waves are transverse. So here wave type and the direction of vibration is given. Longitudinal, parallel to the direction of wave travel. B. Longitudinal, perpendicular to the direction of wave travel. C. Transverse, parallel to the direction of wave travel. D. Transverse, perpendicular to the direction of wave travel. So light waves are transverse in nature, and in the transverse wave, the direction is perpendicular to the direction of wave travel. So from here option D is correct. Question number 22. The diagram shows a part of the diffracted wave pattern. So these are the direction of wave. There is a spacing between the barrier, and these other are the diffracted waves. Changes are made to the wavelength and to the gap size to produce the semicircular diffracted wave pattern. Which row produces the required semicircular diffracted wave pattern? So there will be semicircular diffracted wave pattern like this. This is only possible when the gap between the barrier is smaller as compared to the wavelength. Wavelength is basically the distance between these two wavefronts, and we see that this gap I represent it with D. In this case, the gap is much larger as compared to wavelength. So, there will be less diffraction. In order to obtain the semicircular diffracted wave pattern, we have to decrease the spacing or increase the wavelength so that wavelength is greater than spacing. There will be greater diffraction. Now here we have to obtain the semicircular diffracted wave pattern. It means that there should be more diffraction. It is only possible when we increase the wavelength or when we decrease the gap between the barrier. So there are options: gap in the barrier, wavelength. Option A, gap is larger, wavelength is same. B, larger, smaller. C, same, larger. D, same and smaller. So here option C is correct because the gap is same but the wavelength is larger. So when the wavelength is larger as compared to gap, there should be greater diffraction. So option C is correct. In this way, when the wavelength is larger, we obtain the semicircular diffracted wave pattern. Question number 23. Which statement about a thin converging lens is correct? Option A, all rays of the light refracted by the lens pass through the principal focus. B, all rays initially parallel to the principal axis of the lens are refracted through the principal focus. C, the focal length of the lens is the distance between the image and the principal focus. D, the focal length of the lens is the distance between the object and the image. So, option B is correct because all the rays that is initially parallel to the principal axis they pass after refraction by the lens through the focus point. So, option B is correct. Question number 24. The diagram shows white light passing through a prism. So this is a white light that is passing through the prism. Which description of what happens as the light passes into the prism is correct? So first of all, we know that there are red light and violet light. The wavelength of the red light is larger as compared to violet light. When the white light entered into the prism, then the frequency does not change. So when the frequency remains same, speed is directly proportional to wavelength. So the light that has greater wavelength should have greater speed. It means that the speed of red light is larger as compared to the speed of violet light. The wavelength of the red light is larger, due to which there will be small bending. So we see the options. Option A, the speed of the red light is less than the speed of the violet light and the red light is least refracted. So this option is basically incorrect, because here the speed of red light is smaller, which is not possible. B, the speed of the red light is greater than the speed of the violet light and the red light is least refracted. So this option is correct. Because of the larger wavelength, the red light is least refracted. Question number 25. Which row gives possible values for the speed of sound? Speed in the gas, speed in liquid and speed in solid. So the speed of sound in the solid is larger as compared to speed of sound in the liquid, and it is even greater as compared to speed of sound in gas. So from here we see option A, 972, 1450, 3560. So this option is correct because this is largest, Vs, V liquid and V solid, V gas. So here Vs is greater as compared to Vl, which is greater than Vg. So option A is correct. Question number 26. A police car with its siren sounding is stationary in heavy traffic. A pedestrian notices that although the loudness of the sound produced does not change, the pitch varies. Which row describes the amplitude and the frequency of the sound? So when the loudness of the sound does not change, loudness remains same, it means that amplitude also same, because amplitude depends upon the loudness. So amplitude should be same and pitch varies. So pitch basically depends upon the frequency. If the pitch changes, it means that frequency also change. So from here amplitude and frequency is given. Option A, constant constant, B, constant varying, C, varying constant, D, varying varying. So from here option B is correct, which shows that amplitude is constant but frequency is varying. Question number 27. A piece of steel is slightly magnetized. It is hit several times with a hammer. What effect will this have on the steel? The steel is parallel to a strong magnetic field. The steel is at right angle to a weak magnetic field. Option A, it becomes magnetized more strongly. It becomes magnetized more strongly. B, it becomes magnetized more strongly. It loses its magnetization. C, it loses its magnetization. It becomes magnetized more strongly. D, it loses its magnetization. It loses its magnetization. So from here option B is correct. When the steel is parallel to the stronger magnetic field, then it becomes magnetized more strongly, and when the steel is at right angle to the weak magnetic field, then it loses its magnetization. So option B is correct. Question number 28. Two soft iron pins are suspended from the south pole of the bar magnet. Which diagram show how the pins are deflected? So when the pins are attached at the south pole of the bar magnet, the pins are deflected. So here 4 diagrams are shown: A, B, C and D. In the first diagram, there is a very little deflection, that the pins move inward. In the option B, the pins are straight, there is no deflection. Here is option C, which is correct, which shows the deflection because both of pins are displaced. And in the option D, only one pin is displaced while the other is straight. So option D is also incorrect. Question number 29. A negatively charged plastic rod is brought near to an uncharged metal sphere and held there. What happens when the metal sphere is earthed? Option A. Electrons flow from the metal sphere to earth. B. Electrons flow from earth to the metal sphere. C. Positive charges flow from the metal sphere to earth. D. Positive charge flow from earth to the metal sphere. So first of all, I have metal sphere and there is a plastic rod which is negatively charged. When this rod is brought closer to the sphere, then there will be positive charge and equal amount of negative charges appear on the other side. And when I earth this sphere, then these electrons move towards the ground. So from here, electrons from the metal sphere move towards the ground. Option A is correct. Question number 30. Which statement defines the electromotive force EMF of a cell? Option A. The current in the cell when 1.0 coulomb of charges flow in 1 second. So this is basically the definition of ampere. Option B. The current supplied by the cell to drive 1.0 coulomb of charge around a complete circuit. C. The energy supplied by the cell to drive 1.0 coulomb of charge around a complete circuit. D. The energy supplied by the cell to drive 1.0 ampere of current around a complete circuit. So EMF is basically equal to energy over charge. It means that the energy supplied by the cell to drive 1 coulomb of charge around a complete circuit is basically equal to the EMF of the cell. So from here option C is correct. Question number 31. 4 wires are made of the same metal. Which wire has the greatest resistance? So which one of the following wire has the largest resistance? Option A. 100 centimeter long wire with a diameter of 3.0 millimeter. So here length and diameter is given. I write the formula of resistance. R is equal to resistivity length over area. It is also equal to resistivity 4L over pi d square. Now here I put the values for the option A. So it will be 4 multiplied by length is 100 centimeter. It will be equal to 1 meter divided by 3.14 multiplied by 3.0 into 10 की power minus 3 square. So the resistance of wire A will be equal to 1.41 into 10 की power 5. The unit is ohm and there should be resistivity rho. Because all of the wires are made from the same metal, the resistivity for each of these wires should be same. Now for wire B, the length is again 100 centimeter and diameter is 6.0 millimeter. So I write here resistivity multiplied by 4 and length is 1 meter divided by 3.14 multiply by 6.0 into 10 की power minus 3 and its square. So the resistance of second wire will be equal to 3.5 into 10 की power 4 ohms. For wire C, its length is 10 centimeter and diameter is 3.0 millimeter. So I write here resistivity multiply by 4 and 10 multiply by 10 की power minus 2 divided by 3.14 3.0 into 10 की power minus 3 square. It will be equal to resistivity multiply by the value of this term, which is equal to 1.415 into 10 की power 4 ohms. The resistance of the wire D, which is 10 centimeter long and diameter is 6.0 millimeter. So RD will be equal to resistivity multiply by 4 10 into 10 की power minus 2 divided by 3.14 into 6.0 10 की power minus 3 square. It will be equal to resistivity multiply by 3.5 3 into 10 की power 3 ohms. So from all of these values, the resistance of first wire is larger. Here is a factor of 10 की power 5. So option A is correct. Question number 32. In which circuit is there just a single lamp lit? So here are 4 circuits. In each of these circuits there are 3 diodes and 2 lamps. So here is A, B, C and D. In the circuit A, we see that this is the positive terminal of the battery and here is negative terminal of the battery. This is positive and negative. Here is again negative and positive. So the positive terminal of the battery is attached with the positive of the diode, while the negative terminal of the battery is attached with the negative of the diode. It means that the current reaches to both lamps because all of these diodes are forward bias. So there will be the maximum current and both of these lamps lit. In the circuit B, we see here that plus minus, minus, plus, minus, plus. The positive terminal of the battery is attached with the negative. So it is basically reverse bias. So when there is reverse biasing, the current will not flow. Here is positive, negative, positive, negative, negative, positive. So the positive terminal of the battery is attached with the positive. Negative terminal of the battery is attached with the negative. So there is forward biasing, but this diode is reverse bias. So when this diode is reverse bias, this lamp will not lit up because current cannot flow in this path. So only the one lamp lit here, which is this one. So this option is correct because here it is reverse bias, due to which this lamp cannot lit. Again in D, we see here plus minus and negative plus. There is reverse biasing and this negative is attached with the positive. So there is reverse biasing, current cannot flow. So option C is correct. Next question number 33. A student uses 4 ammeters P, Q, R and S to measure the current in the different parts of the circuit shown. So there are different ammeters P, R, S and Q. Which 2 ammeters read the largest current? Which one of the following ammeter gives the largest reading of the current? Here we can see that ammeter P and Q are connected in series and R and S are connected in parallel. In the series combination, the value of current remains same. It means that the current that is shown by the ammeter P and Q is basically the amount of current that is supplied by the battery. It means that the current in the battery and the current in both of these ammeter is same. But in the parallel circuit, the current that is supplied will be equal to the sum of all the currents that is passing through the resistor. So here there will be the maximum current in P and Q because both of these are attached in the series. So from here P and Q shows the largest current. Option A is correct. Question number 34. Which combination of the logic gates gives the truth table shown? So here is the truth table. Which one of these logic gate shows this truth table? So first of all we check A. I consider here input 0 and 0. This is OR gate and it is NOT gate. When I apply OR gate over it, it will be 0, and by applying the NOT gate it will be 1. Here 0, 0 gives 1, so this is correct. Next I check another possibility, that is 0, 1. So when 0 and 1 combines by OR gate, there will be output 1. And when I apply the NOT over it, here will be 0. So 0 and 1 gives 1, but here it is 0. It means that this circuit is incorrect. We check B. If I consider 0, 0, this is AND gate and this is NOT. When we apply AND gate over 0 and 0, there will be output 0. And when we apply NOT over it, here will be 1. So this is correct combination. Second we check 0 and 1. 0 and 1 when combined by AND gate gives 0. Again when we apply NOT gate, here will be 1. It means that 0, 1 gives 1. It is also incorrect. We check the last one, 1, 1. When 1 and 1 combines by AND gate, here will be 1. And when we apply NOT over it, here will be 0. So there is output 0. It means that B is correct. Here it is NAND gate and it is NOT gate. Here again I consider input 0 and 0. When 0 and 0 combines by NAND gate, here will be output 1. And when I apply NOT over it, here will be 0. But in the case of 0, 0 combination, the output is 1. So this is incorrect. Last one is, again here is 0, 0 and this is NOR gate and NOT gate. When 0, 0 combines by NOR gate, here will be 1. And when I apply NOT over it, here will be 0. So this is also incorrect. Only option B is correct. Question number 35. A transformer is needed to convert a supply of 240 volt AC into 4800 volt AC. So here is our transformer. Input voltage is 240 volt and output voltage is 4800. Which pair of the coils would be suitable for this transformer? Number of turns on the primary coil NP and the number of turns on the secondary coil NS. So here we know that the ratio of the number of turns will be equal to the ratio of their respective voltages. It should be equal. So first of all, here will be 4800, which is the output voltage, that is for the secondary coil. So I write here 4800 divided by Vp is 240. This is basically equal to 20. No, Vs over Vp is equal to 20. Next we have to check the number of turns ratio. If this ratio is equal to 20, it means that this is suitable for the transformer. So for the first, here will be Ns over Np, which is equal to 1000 over 50, which is equal to 20. So here 20 is equal to 20. It means that option A is correct. We also check the other ones. Here will be 48,000 divided by 240, which is equal to 200. So 200 is not equal to 20. So this is incorrect. Third one is 24 divided by 480, which is equal to 0.1. So it is also incorrect. And for the last one, here will be 100 divided by 2000, which is equal to 0.05. So it is also incorrect. Only option A is correct. Question number 36. The diagram shows a part of a long current carrying conductor. At which point is the magnetic field strongest? 4 points are shown: A, B, C and D. We know that the magnitude of the magnetic field depends upon the distance. Magnetic field is inversely proportional to distance. When the distance is smaller, magnetic field will be stronger. Point C is very closer to current carrying conductor as compared to A, B or C. It means that at the point C, magnetic field will be stronger. So option C is correct. Question number 37. A beam of particles moves through a magnetic field. In which situation do the particles experiences a magnetic force? Option A. A beam of alpha particles moving parallel to the magnetic field lines. B. A beam of electrons moving parallel to the magnetic field lines. C. A beam of beta particles moving perpendicularly across the magnetic field lines. D. A beam of neutrons moving perpendicularly across the magnetic field lines. So there will be no force when the particle moves parallel to the magnetic field lines. So option A and B is incorrect. Only force is experienced by the particle when it moves perpendicular to the magnetic field. And there should be charged particle. If the particle has no charge, there will be no force. It means that option C is correct, which shows beta particles which moves perpendicularly across the magnetic field lines. Option D incorrect because of the neutrons, because neutrons are neutral. So that's why option D is incorrect. Question number 38. Which statement is correct for the nucleus of any atom? The nucleus contains electrons, neutrons and protons. B. The nucleus contains the same number of protons as neutrons. C. The nucleus has a total charge of 0. D. The nucleus is very small as compared to the size of an atom. So from here option D is correct, because the size of nucleus is very small as compared to the size of atom. Question number 39. Two beams of radiation P and Q enter an electric field as shown. So there are two radiation P and Q that are entering a magnetic field. The radiation P is moving towards the positive plate and Q is moving towards the negative plate. We know that opposite charges attract each other while the same charges repel each other. So the radiation that is bent towards the positive plate is basically the negatively charged, while the radiation that is moving towards the negatively plate, it is basically positively charged. So here options given: P and Q, beta and alpha, B, beta gamma, C, gamma alpha, D, gamma gamma. So from here P is basically negatively charged, which is beta particles, and these are alpha particles. It means that P is beta while the Q is alpha. So option A is correct. Question number 40. Which equation represents the beta decay of the lead-209? So when an element undergoes the beta decay, there will be no change in the mass number, but the atomic number increased by 1. In option A, mass number is 209, again it is 209. There is 82 and here is 83. But the electron is on the left side, due to which this option is incorrect. There should be the emission of electron, not the absorption. Option B, 209, again 209. 82, 81. Here is the decrease of atomic number, which is incorrect. C, 209, again here is 209. 82, 83. There is increase of atomic number by the factor of 1 and there is also the emission of electron. So C option is correct. We also checked D. Here is 209, 209, 82, 81. There is the decrease of atomic number, due to which this option is also incorrect. Only the C option is correct.